Hello, 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 brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. We had some technical difficulty, and thanks to the jack of all trades, my eldest brother, really, he's a blessing and God said the man knows everything. And so he helped us and got us straight. So in the studio, once again, yes, we are
We are
here
here
at
at
Believe
Believe
Radio
Radio
Studios
Studios
to
to
announce
announce
to
to
you
you
a
a
wonderful,
wonderful,
wonderful new show launch that is going to take place. You see on my screen two beautiful women who I have the pleasure of sharing this platform with. I also want to give honor to my brother, who I mentioned earlier, Elder James Archie, and his technical prowess. But in the studio, we have my sister, also partner in Believe Radio, Tanya Archie. Woo! I wish I had a clap track.
I know, right?
And then we also have in the studio, new to the family. I want you to welcome, and my sister will talk more about her, but let's welcome to the Believe Radio Fresno family, Dr. Brandy McMurray.
Murray.
Woo!
Thank you.
We could tell that. But you know,
It was the
oh,
crowds cheering.
the crowd. Yeah. So, like and share this on your pages right now because this is going to be a very provocative and enlightening conversation. She's going to drop some gems just so that you can have a piqued interest in what's getting ready to take place on in this new show. So, my sister's going to introduce her, and then we're going to get into meeting this beautiful gift, I believe, not only to our radio family but also to the community. Tanya.
I am so excited to welcome my personal therapist, Dr. Brandy McMurray, to the family. This is exciting on a number of levels because therapy matters. So many of us have walked away from situations and circumstances where we probably felt like we needed some additional help to kind of process what we just experienced, witnessed, or saw. Or even in my case, where you need help finding balance with everything that you do in your life and trying to juggle things and just needing someone non-biased to be able to bounce some stuff off. I was introduced to Dr. McMurray by a client of mine and immediately had a wonderful connection and immediately was blessed by the information and the services she was able to provide. So when the opportunity presented itself to share her with the world, I jumped on it because it is absolutely necessary. So many times there's a stigma attached to therapy. However, especially in our community, the Black community, the faith community, I think therapy is absolutely nothing wrong with it, especially when you can receive services from someone who looks like you, who understands what your struggles are, and can provide you with some insight. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the opportunity to be able to introduce her to the Believe Radio listening family. I'm excited to introduce her to my own personal family. I'm excited just to know her. And
We're excited. 'Cause you're excited.
the way that she is able to pinpoint, if you will, what the exact issues are. She wastes no time getting to the point. So the benefits of having her insight, influence, guidance is one in a million. So I'm excited to present to you all Dr. Brandy McMurray.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for thinking of me.
Of course, of course. So this is,
Hold on, before you get started, do y'all like that neon sign in the back?
isn't it dope?
It's not.
I like that. That's,
It's dope. It's dope. I like it.
and Elder, can you do an audio check for us outside just to make sure that we're good, we don't want no glitches, because I don't want when she gets going, you know, she's like a locomotive, like really. When she starts plowing through, it just starts on.
So the exciting part about all of this is that this is not just a conversation with Dr. McMurray, because she will actually be launching a new show on our station. So we're excited about that. So this is just our opportunity to be able to introduce her to you. So for those of you who are tuning in, she is, a licensed therapist. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, something you want to get off your chest, something you want to know a little more about, definitely feel free to go ahead and type it in the chat. We don't have a set topic for today's discussion, as this is an introduction. However, because she is a sharpshooter, if you will, and she is also very fluid in her ability to be able to communicate, there's no telling which direction this conversation is going to go.
And anointed gifted.
So
if you tuned in and you're going through something, type the question in. I'm telling you, she'll tap in and give you some gems and some nuggets. All right. So some of you, Nico, others will share with us as she's talking. Okay, Dr. McMurry, platform's yours.
Wow, so you just throw it like that, huh? Well, welcome everyone. I think it's very important, maybe just to start with normalizing mental health, normalizing therapy, talk therapy, normalizing it in addition to inspiration, in addition to God, right? So we trust God for prayer. And we should also trust that God has provided us mental health professionals and also just mental health professionals to help us get through things, like especially with what's going on in the world today, having to deal with the pandemic, COVID, the trauma of that. Now the shootings that are happening now, there's a lot of trauma, racial trauma. And so you're dealing with all of that on a day-to-day basis and also trying to take care of your family. And so it's very important that you seek out help. You do not have to suffer in silence.
With that being said, let's backtrack. For those who are going to be tuning in to the show, tell us a little bit about your background so that they can kind of get an understanding of why this is so real and personal to you.
Well, my background is so vast. I studied at Emory University, working on my doctorate, and I also did the practicum along with theory for about 3 or 4 years. And I operated as a resident counselor in Georgia. Even with that, I was trained as a clinical pastoral educator, which means I train and I educate people on how to reach out, how to meet people right where they are in the situations that they are. A lot of us like to move people to hope as they're suffering, but the key is to sit with the person and see the person in that moment at that time. It's almost like meeting a person in one sentence of one chapter, of one paragraph in the book. And so if you could just sit in that moment and help them move through that moment, not past it, but through it. So I teach this every day. What else can I say? I have 2 master's degrees from the Interdenominational Theological Center. One is in pastoral counseling and the other is in Christian education. I served as everything, Christian education director. I'm a clinical pastoral educator. I was trained at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. I served as an executive pastor. So I like to incorporate my spirituality as well as theory into my practice.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I know we got.
That's why she's my therapist.
I know we got excited in the moment because we're just happy that God sent her to us. But it is important to understand and know the matriculation and the pedigree of a person, and I know that that's something that really means a lot to her. When you work through things to get your way up, that should be noted and respected and honored. And so, to our audience, forgive me for not going in depth in her experiences and training, because as she was talking, I was thinking, that's something in the African American community that we don't do enough of, and that is celebrating our brothers and sisters when they have really worked hard, put the time in, put the experiential and empirical knowledge together to bring us holistic health. And so I just wanted to just take this moment and just say thank you for all the hard work that you have done in making this be meaningful to the lives you have touched. And in no way during this launch segment do we want to minimize. I will tell you this, her experience is so intimidating that I could not remember everything. And so I wanted to.
Well, it's amazing.
Well, it's amazing. I've got your bio sitting right in front of me.
And
I'm going to read some of it.
I was listening to a popular blogger on Instagram give tips about how to grow your social media following and the whole nine. But one of the things that they said was not to minimize your accomplishments. A lot of times people want to shy away from sounding braggadocious because sometimes that's a turnoff, and sometimes people are intimidated when they hear about all of the amazing things that people are able to accomplish. But the benefit in being able to share your accomplishments is that for those who are looking for inspiration, it's inspirational. For those who are looking to validate your experience, it makes you credible. So to that extent, I just want to share. So to that extent, I want to read a little bit of the biographical sketch of Reverend Brandy Renee McMurray. She's a native of Northern California. She was raised at Liberty Hill Missionary Baptist Church. She graduated from San Francisco State, earning her Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology. In 2000, she accepted her call to ministry. She was licensed to preach the gospel in 2003 and was ordained in the ministry in 2006, which means she put some time in. She didn't just decide that she wanted to be a licensed minister and found somebody to license her, but she actually did the work. She went through the dissertation phase at Emory University in Atlanta, where she stated she was completing her Doctor of Theology in Pastoral Psychotherapy. While in Atlanta, she also worked as an advanced resident care counselor at the Care and Counseling Center of Georgia, which she also mentioned. She also worked as a teaching assistant at the Dr. Pamela Cooper White at Columbia Theological Seminary. She ended up relocating to Alexandria, Louisiana, and served as the first African-American counselor at the Alexandria Country Day School. She is also co-chair of the planning committee of the American Association of Pastoral Counselors, the Southeast region.
Wow.
She's an active board member of the MHT Family Life Center. She serves as a member of the Women of Color Counseling Network. She graduated from the Morehouse School of Religion, the Baptist constituency of the Interdenominational Theological Center. Say that fast 3 times. She has also completed a Master of Arts in Christian Education, and she was a member of the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, Faith in the City, the Faith Advisory Council. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. A recipient of several scholarships, 2 of which were from the United Negro College Fund. She's traveled the world. She's gone to Israel, following the footsteps of Jesus, gone to Greece and Asia Minor, studying the footsteps of Apostle Paul. She served as the vice president of the International Theological Center's Student Christian League Executive Council. She served as the director of Christian education in College Park, Georgia, in Conyers, Georgia, Alexandria, Louisiana, the youth and young adult pastor in Berkeley, a chaplain at Southern Regional Medical Center, Grady Memorial Hospital, the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, the Scottish Rite, Baylor Scott and White in Dallas, Texas. She's a published author. She published an article in the Impact National Newsletter entitled "The Liaison: Bridging the Gap Between Clergy and Politicians."
Wow.
She also co-authored Daughters of the Desert: The Journey Towards Letting Go, Surrendering and Trusting God. She is also nationally certified through the Association of Clinical Pastoral Education. She's worked with Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, Maryland. She's an ACE, an associate certified educator
I'm fully certified.
Fully certified. Let's be clear, since we are acknowledging our accomplishments. Let's go West Coast. UCSF brought her back from Emory University, so she currently works and is a certified chaplain educator at the Mission Bay campus of UCSF, and that's the University of California, San Francisco Medical Center. It's amazing. But at the end of the day, she's put in the work. And she's qualified to be able to bring to the table all that she brings to the table. And I can absolutely attest that she is all that she says she is.
That was exhausting.
It was a lot. It was a lot. But we're glad that it's factual.
Yes, it's factual.
Yes. Anita Hell said, woo, yes, that's a lot. But it's factual. So,
but you know, it's interesting. We have these bi-monthly, how do you call that? Bi-weekly? No. Yeah, I guess. We have these leadership team meetings.
bi-weekly.
Yes, meetings. And the thing that we were talking about this morning was the absolute necessity of training, equipping. I had a conversation actually with Etymology the other day, and we were talking about the 3 stages of evangelism, how most people and most Black people have an extra layer of dysfunction we have to work through because of slavery, right? But when you become a Christian, most people don't have a real clear understanding of the protocol and their responsibility in the marketplace, because you know, we really have not done a thorough job in training them. And this is from a Jewish perspective, in training them for real world experiences, right? Whatever those real world experiences are. In your case, with all that is happening with trauma in our culture, we need to be trained, equipped on just how to handle people, you know, how to be sensitive in our language and conversation when somebody's having a mental moment, you know, and not injuring them even more because of our predisposed expectation of how they're supposed to handle the pressure, if that makes sense. So this is something that our ministerial team and our pastor was talking about equipping, training, making sure that we do everything we can as leaders to give the people that we're responsible to the adequate tools to help live a successful natural life and spiritual life. So yes, your piece and your component to this puzzle of life is so necessary. So now that we understand the background, tell us now why is this your passion? Why have you spent and committed so much of your years time to focus on this?
It's so funny. I didn't start off wanting to be a chaplain because I think I was traumatized at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta at Scottish Rite as a resident when I recognized that, you know, every patient is a child, so every death is a child. And so during that year, I told God, I said, I'm good. I don't want to do this. But you know how God does. And so I tried to go, you know, a different route. Eventually coming right back to it and going a different route. What I recognized is a lot of Christian marriages, they were going through divorce. And so I wanted to do a study on why they were being divorced. Was it because of premarital counseling, right? And so I did a study, and couples that had premarital counseling from their pastor were divorced, and couples that didn't were still together.
Oh, wow.
So I said, that means that we're not trained. Like, pastors don't often refer out, knowing that they're not trained or capable of saving the marriage or saving the person in front of them. And so I decided to go into the field to save marriages. Like, I need to be equipped with theory. And so I just have a bunch of theory in my head that I use all the time. So that's how I got into it. And then becoming a clinical pastoral educator, simply, it's teaching people to recognize your own biases, your own judgments, teaching people to look at whatever experience you've been through in life is informing who you are today and how you show up today. And so how are you showing up today? How are people experiencing you? What is your blind area? What are you not seeing about
That's
you?
good.
Right?
That's
And
how
so
you show up.
how are you showing up? And then as preachers and pastors, how are your judgments impeding your ministry? Right?
Ooh.
Like, how are you showing up with your congregants, right? And so for me, it's very important for me to get to the bottom of the root of whatever you learned. It doesn't need to be unlearned. You just need to become aware of it, right? And manage it, because you can do more harm than good, right? I think that's it.
You did. Wow.
Wow.
So many layers onion to that statement, because we do take our environment, we take our experiences, and those things shape us, and those things make us. And it's important that we build on and not tear down. We have a particular persuasion in the Pentecostal Reformation as it relates to standards and expectations and the desire to want to be God-like and Christ-like. And when you said that, and this is kind of, I guess I'm indicting myself, I think sometimes we assume things about Christ that are not inherently true. And it's like, if we read the text, he kind of shows us through his compassion how he related to people. But it's almost like we use our own cultural bias to override what he did. And sometimes we catch like we really catch that I'm imposing my own personal bias, even over how Jesus handled people who were hurting, suffering, going through.
That's right. That's right. I love that, right? Because I love the fact that I've met the God that is compassionate and that is kind and that is merciful, that accepts me for who I am. Why? Because when he made me, he said, or when she made me, he said, right, that is good. And it's beautiful and wonderful in my sight, right? So I don't know. I thank God every day that humans are not God. Because listen, so glad.
But there too is what you said about the whole balance piece. Because I am classical Pentecostal, and I love it. I mean, I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not shy of it, but I'm also open to the evolution of growing in grace and in the knowledge. I think that is so important. And even what we've seen in our culture, in America in particular, the spiritual divide, political divide. It's because people have stopped growing on both ends of the spectrum. We have weaponized political parties to draw lines of separation. So it no longer is about the character of Christ. It's more about my personal agenda, my personal vendetta. And I think, again, if we're going to model who Christ wants us to be in the earth as kingdom citizens, I think we just need some retooling. Again, your foundation is your foundation. I want you to hear this from my heart. Where I'm not telling you, and I believe this is what I heard Dr. McMurray say. I'm not telling you to disavow the way that has brought you. I'm encouraging you, keep growing, keep finding tools and resources and mechanisms to not only help you be a better person, but to enable you to help others heal and get past what has hurt them and what has traumatized them. Am I understanding you right?
Correct. You never want to dismantle or belittle whatever informs you, right? Because it got you here. You're successful now. It worked. It worked for you. And so now all we're doing is adding more tools to your toolbox so that you can be better, so that you can be better. I think the greatest thing is accepting people for who they are, where they are, expectations lead to disappointment, right?
Very
So
true.
when you put expectations on people and they don't perform the way that you think they should, then you're disappointed. Well, that's not fair. How about we just accept the person for who they are? If they're a liar,
Mhm.
why you said that they lied?
Right. Very true. This is why she's my therapist.
Right?
Yeah.
You knew they were gonna lie. So why you mad? Why you mad? You should have expected it.
Right.
And then love them right there, right? Yeah, girl, you know there was a story. You even told the story.
Okay, Willie. So you bring up something that is good. Love them right there. What does love look? Because I think sometimes we misconstrue and we misunderstand what love is, because we think love is being complicit, or love is not holding you accountable. It's being amicable, or what's the other word I'm looking for? Love compromises the integrity of what is true. So, what's a good way to approach, like you said, if somebody is a liar, and you know that they are a liar,
Mhm.
so that I'm not disappointed, how do I handle them or hold them accountable? Or is that my right to hold them accountable?
It is your right to hold them accountable. It is your right to set boundaries. Why? Because I'm teaching you how to love me when I set boundaries,
Mhm.
right? I'm teaching you that it's not okay for you to lie. Like you can say, no, you just lie right there. Like it doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be shameful. Like you don't have to shame the person. You say, hey, are you just lie right there? That's not fair. You lying. Stop. And when you do that, then it doesn't shame them, right? But then it makes them aware, and then they might actually start trying not to lie, right? Because you're gonna hold them accountable. Who else is holding them accountable? Everybody like, oh, she's just a liar. No, I'm gonna hold you accountable because I love you. I don't want you out here looking crazy.
You know, you said something. I would see it. And maybe this session, maybe this turned into a session for me. I had to transact some business in Memphis last week. And when I pulled up to the property, there was a crackhead there. I had prayed, Lord, let me run into the people. A project that I'm involved with resulted in 2 units being burned to the ground. So I went with a friend to kind of, help facilitate, meeting with contractors, ordering materials. So when I got there and I saw the person there, I just knew, that person is probably a part of this whole thing. And sure enough, he was running this operation with a bunch of drug addicts and homeless people. Long story, I won't go into it. However, here's the lesson. Immediately, I was angry and mad. So I approached him, going off on him. This ain't your property, you're trespassing, bada, 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 bada. My friend pulled back, he said, oh, no, wait. He said, that's not wise. He said, because if you make him mad, you're leaving. They can come back and retaliate even more. And I realized, although I was mad, I was talking to the guy wrong. And I had to, on that spot, say to myself, even though he's wrong, you're mad and you're talking to him wrong, because he's still a human being. And I mean, I didn't go to him and repent, but until the Lord helped me to learn better ways of talking to people.
I mean, you got my bad.
Yeah, seriously, it was like, although I had a grievance, although he was trespassing against private property, I was talking to him wrong, because my anger could have caused him to come in with all his other peeps and damage the property even more. So yeah. I mean, this is real life. I'm living this.
So what would it have been in what you knew about him, right, to actually minister to him?
So let me say, that's where the conviction came in. So here's what had happened. So Mario, the contractor, and my buddy, they were talking, and they were like, hold on, Rail. You go to the truck, you calm down. Here's what they did. They said, rather than make him an enemy and alienate him, let's offer him a job. So they talked to him, got to kind of understand his story. He was a barber. He was running his scheme, and they said, listen, instead of you vandalizing the property, would you like to make some money helping with the demolition crew?
Let me tell you, because if you pause long enough and just think about what could be informing this behavior, right? So why would he be doing that? So immediately I was thinking he needs some money, right?
Mhm.
So it's very important, like even in regular interactions, right? Just to pause for a moment, because it's usually not personal. It's something that the person is experiencing with you. And so if you could just slow down long enough, like, what is informing this behavior? What is informing what they're saying to me right now? And how can I respond based on what might be informing them? Or even if you say something and they all of a sudden get escalated, how about you slow down for a moment and say, you know what, I didn't mean to offend you. What did you hear me say?
It's that being human again. Being nice to people. It's that Jesus quality, talking with people, understand. When you look at the story in the Bible of the father whose son was vexed with demons, and Mark, I think it's chapter 4, chapter 9, and Jesus didn't immediately respond to the boy. He asked his father, like, okay, what's going on? Like, how long has he wanted to understand that father? Like, how long has this been happening? And I think sometimes we forget that we need to understand the human side of people, like what's making them do what they do. And I'm not afraid or ashamed to say sometimes I'm not always interested. No, I'm not. It's just not true. Like, because if I have something else on my mind, like, I don't want to take the time to ask you, why are you doing this? I'm just irritated that you're doing it.
Right.
Okay.
And so anger is the first defense, right? So anger is the first thing that shows up. Right. But what's behind the anger? What's behind the anger? Right.
I'm telling you, therapist.
We can find you. Yeah, just slow down long enough. And it's not like you just didn't know, right?
Right.
Like, you might know, but it's so good. I tell my residents all the time, remain curious. Don't assume anything. You don't know. Remain curious. Ask questions.
Is that what it is? That we have this thing of we already know, so we draw conclusions?
You looking at me drawing a conclusion. You think I'm what? Am I? You didn't ask me.
So you opened up something because I know. See, I was just getting ready to say.
Cuba, they think I'm Cuban, so they start talking to me in Spanish.
So then that goes to a conversation of labels, right?
Yes.
Okay, we don't have time to go there.
But remain curious.
Remain curious.
Remain curious with yourself. Like, why am I mad? Like, why am I giving all this energy to this person? Like, I remember my anger used to be so bad. I had such a bad temper right after my mother died. Suddenly, right? I had such a bad temper. One day I was like, why are you giving people this much energy though? Like, I'm exhausted. So I just refused. Like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. I mean, we can go on, but we wanted just to give you a snippet of this mental health moment that Dr. McMurry is going to be launching. And so she's going to be discussing. If you have questions and concerns in your own personal life or journey that you want to address, please shoot us an email. You can email us at believeradiofresno@gmail.com or believeradiotanya@gmail.com. And we'll make sure that those questions get Dr. McMurray, and she can address them on air as you're tuning in to the show. Who knows? Your question might be featured. So again, stay abreast, stay plugged in. Believe Radio is your 24-hour, inspirational and gospel music source, and we're just delighted to have such a phenomenal person, a part of the family now. And again, Dr. McMurray, welcome to Believe Radio Fresno.
Thank
Yes.
We're
you
glad
so
to have
much.
you on
Thank
board,
you
and
so
we're looking forward to just helping our community. You know, really, that's why we launched this network, because we wanted to make a difference. You know, that's why talk about this when you have wherewithal to make a difference.
Don't suffer in silence. Find somebody to talk to.
That's good. That's good. Tanya, any last parting thoughts, comments, ideas?
This is just a snippet of what the listening audience can expect. The non-judgmental, non-condemning, non-anxious,
Pray for me.
and
And
as you
as
can
you
tell,
can tell,
not
not just by the sound of her voice, but in her delivery
and
and
her
her responsiveness.
she's very engaging, but also creates an environment that puts you in a place where you actually want to open up and be receptive to what it is that she has to share. A lot of it, to her point, is self-discovery. Keep asking questions. Never allow yourself to become stagnant in a position or a place where you think you've got the answer, because obviously you are still searching for the answer. So this is just a snippet. This is not. This is not just a one-sided conversation either. So if you've got questions, if you want honest feedback, if you're looking for someone to just kind of be that ear and to provide you with a balanced perspective, reach out. Definitely send us an email. We'll definitely ensure that she gets your email and can provide a response. And to Jonathan's point, who knows, you just may be featured. You won't get called out. She won't call you out, but you will definitely feel like you've been heard. So I'm looking forward to getting to the relational side of it and getting down and dirty. And so this is going to be great. It's going to be great.
Thank you, Tanya. So, Dr. Brandy, tell us kind of one or two things that you'll be addressing in the upcoming shows, so our audience can plan and prepare to tune in.
I'm hoping that we could talk about racial trauma, what's happening in the world, trauma from the pandemic. I love relationships. I love love. And so I have so much wisdom to offer relationships as well. Communication, conflict. Yeah, that's my favorite.
I even want to talk self-esteem as it relates to the whole Kevin Samuels situation and the women who were impacted by his coaching or lack thereof, depending on your perspective.
I feel like playing the devil's advocate.
So maybe that should be the topic of our next show.
That would be fun.
No.
That would be fun.
I think we need to talk about it.
I'm outnumbered. I'm the only man on the show right now.
You can hold your own.
Yeah, I can. No, in all seriousness, so we need healing, because we not only do we have over 4 years of a social type to overcome, we have self-inflicted that I think is probably unique to the African American experience, unlike a lot of other cultures, because of how we internalize and because we have not embraced therapy as an outlet. So we're behind the eight. But it's time to get on track. It's time to repair those breaches, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, financially, all that. That's affecting your life. It's time to get help. I'm a believer of, if you don't have it, there's no such thing as you suffer in silence. You suffer without. There's enough help available. Get up. Make the initial engagement, and I will God will open doors to get you what you need. All right.
Maybe we title it "Let the Healing Begin" with Dr. Brandy McMurray. I don't know, but I know I just really feel like this is going to be a source of healing for a lot of people, because again, it's providing them with balanced feedback in a safe, non-judgmental, non-confrontational way, and I think a lot of people.
I'm very direct. Let's say that I'm very direct because I don't want to waste your time. So
Absolutely.
And I appreciate that. I do. There is something that, we'll reserve for another time because I can keep going on and throwing things at her because, again, she has the empirical data and knowledge, but she also has the real world life experience of a friend next door. And I think that's just a wonderful blend of experience and reality that is coming your way. So stay tuned, all right? And share this on your page, on all your social media platforms. We're launching a new show this month, so stay tuned. And again, please continue to support your local Christian music station. The radio is here as a resource to help you and to empower you and to lift your soul as you navigate this thing we call life. All right.
Yes.
Thank you again to my co-host, and precious sister Tanya,
Yes.
our new I can't call her guest because she's a part of the family. She's a part of the family. To our new sister, Dr. McMurray, and for you, and to my brother, Elder James, who is holding us down with the audio video piece. Until next time, same place. All right. Keep your head up. Keep your faith and pushing. Because God has great things in store. We out of here.